She built walls so high, even she couldn't see over them. He was the last person who should have gotten through. But when Zara's carefully constructed armor shattered in front of a stranger named Dante, something unexpected happened. Her vulnerability didn't push him away, pulled him closer. This is the story of how being completely broken open became the gateway to the deepest love she'd ever known. Zara had perfected the art of holding space for everyone's pain except her own. As a therapist, she spent 8 hours a day inside other people's trauma, helping them dismantle their defenses, teaching them that vulnerability was strength. Then she'd go home to her immaculate apartment and feel absolutely nothing. She hadn't cried in 6 years. Not at her father's funeral. Not when her ex-fiancé left. Not when her best friend moved across the country. She'd learned early that emotions were dangerous, that showing weakness invited abandonment. So she built walls brick by brick. Competence, control, perfection. She became unreachable. Her colleagues called her brilliant but cold. Her mother worried she'd forgotten how to be human. Her clients trusted her implicitly because she never wavered, never showed doubt. But late at night, Zara would stand in her shower and wonder if she'd buried herself so deep that excavation was impossible. She told herself it was fine. She was successful, respected, financially secure. Who needed messy emotions when you had accomplishments? But sometimes, watching couples hold hands in coffee shops, she'd feel a phantom ache, like missing something she'd never actually had. It happened on a Tuesday. Zara's last client of the day was a 17-year-old girl who'd attempted suicide. The session went well. The girl left with tools, hope, a safety plan. Zara did her job perfectly. Then she stepped outside into the rain. The first sob came from nowhere, violent and animal. Then another. Then she couldn't stop. 6 years of unfelt grief crashed over her like a tsunami. She collapsed on the sidewalk outside her office building, professional facade shattering into a million irreparable pieces. People stepped around her. Some stared. Most pretended not to see. Zara was drowning in public, and the world kept moving. Then someone crouched beside her. Hey, it's okay. I've got you. She looked up through tears at a stranger. Late 30s, tattoo sleeves, leather jacket, kind eyes. He didn't ask what was wrong. Didn't tell her to calm down. He just sat in the rain beside her and said, "Take your time. I'm not going anywhere." His name was Dante. He owned a tattoo shop 3 blocks away. And for reasons Zara couldn't fathom, this stranger with ink-stained fingers stayed with her while she fell completely apart, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Dante walked Zara to his tattoo studio and made her tea. She sat shivering, not from cold but from exposure. She'd just had a complete breakdown in front of a stranger. The humiliation should have been crushing. Instead, she felt oddly light. "I'm a therapist," she said, voice hoarse. "I help people manage their emotions. And I just had a human moment?" Dante finished, settling into the chair across from her. "Yeah. Welcome to the club. You don't understand. I don't do this. I don't fall apart. I'm the one who holds it together." Dante studied her with unnerving directness. "That sounds exhausting." The simple observation cracked something else open. "It is," Zara whispered. "God, it is. But if I let it out, if I feel it all, what if I can't stop? What if I drown? Then someone pulls you back to the surface." He said it like a fact, not a platitude. "That's what people do. We don't have to carry everything alone." Zara laughed bitterly. "Says the man covered in armor." She gestured to his tattoos. Dante smiled, sad and knowing. "Armor and walls aren't the same thing. My ink tells my story. Your perfection hides yours." They talked until 2 a.m. Dante told her about his daughter, his divorce, the gallery of pain and love permanently etched on his skin. Zara, for the first time in years, told the truth. Not the curated version. The raw, ugly, beautiful truth. When she left, something had shifted. She'd been vulnerable, and the world hadn't ended. They started meeting for coffee, then dinner, then late-night walks where Zara talked about her father, the alcoholic who'd taught her that loving someone meant watching them destroy themselves. About her ex-fiancé who'd left because she was emotionally unavailable. About the fortress she'd built to survive. Dante listened with the intensity of someone who understood. I was the opposite, he shared. After my divorce, I felt everything too much. Every emotion was a tidal wave. I had to learn control. You had to learn release. We're inverse problems. So what? We balance each other out. Zara asked, half joking. Maybe, Dante said seriously. Or maybe we teach each other what we're missing. He showed her his sketchbook, designs for tattoos he'd never inked. Each drawing told a story of loss, resilience, transformation. This is how I process, he explained. I turn pain into art. What do you do? I analyze it until it loses power, Zara admitted. I intellectualize instead of feel. Show me something real, Dante challenged gently. Not the therapist. Not the professional. You. So Zara took him to her apartment, the sterile, perfect space, and pulled out a box she kept hidden. Inside were journals from her teenage years, raw and unfiltered. Poems about her father. Drawings of monsters with her mother's face. Evidence that she'd once felt deeply, before she'd learned to shut down. Dante read every page with reverence. You're still in here, he said, touching the journals. The real you, just buried. Zara felt something crack wider open. I'm scared of her. I know, but I'm not. They made love 3 months after meeting, and it terrified Zara more than anything in her life. Not the physical act, the emotional nakedness. Dante had seen her fall apart on a sidewalk, but this was different. This was choosing vulnerability, inviting it, surrendering to it completely. I don't know how to do this, she whispered as he kissed her neck. I don't know how to be open during. Then don't know, Dante murmured against her skin. Just feel. I've got you. You're safe. She'd had sex before but never made love. The difference was staggering. Every touch was a conversation. Every kiss a confession. When she started crying, overwhelmed by sensation and emotion, Dante didn't stop. He held her face, looked into her eyes and said, I see you, all of you, and you're beautiful. The walls Zara had built for 28 years crumbled. She felt everything. Pleasure, fear, joy, grief, connection. It was overwhelming and perfect and terrifying. She didn't disappear into the feeling. She expanded. Afterward, tangled in sheets and each other, Dante traced her spine. Thank you. For what? Zara asked. For trusting me with this. With you. He kissed her shoulder. I know what it cost you to let me in. Zara turned to face him, eyes bright with tears and wonder. It cost me everything. And somehow, I have more now than I started with. They fell asleep like that. Fully seen, completely known, deeply connected. The fear came slowly, then all at once. Zara started noticing how much she'd changed. Her colleagues commented that she seemed distracted. Her mother said she looked softer, less put together. Even her clients noticed the shift. She was more empathetic, more present, but also less certain. The control she'd wielded like a weapon was slipping, and it terrified her. I'm losing myself, she told Dante one night, pacing his living room. I used to know exactly who I was. Now I'm all over the place. I cry at commercials. I get angry. I feel things and don't know what to do with them. You're not losing yourself, Dante countered. You're finding yourself, the real one you buried. What if I don't like her? Zara's voice broke. What if the real me is too messy, too broken? What if you realize you made a mistake? Dante stood, catching her hands. Zara, I fell in love with you on a sidewalk while you were falling apart. Messy is not a deterrent. It's the point. But the fear gnawed. She started pulling back, canceling dates, responding to texts with one-word answers, creating distance. The walls wanted to rebuild themselves. Self-protection was muscle memory. Dante noticed but didn't push. He just kept showing up, leaving sketches under her door, sending texts that said, thinking of you, being steady while she wavered. But Zara could feel it happening. She was choosing safety over connection. And the worst part? It felt almost comfortable, like slipping back into old armor. The explosion came during a fight about nothing and everything. Dante had planned a surprise, tickets to an art exhibit opening. But Zara had scheduled an emergency session without telling him, choosing work over vulnerability once again. "This is the third time this week," Dante said, frustration evident. "You're running." "I'm not running. I'm working." "There's a difference." "Is there?" He crossed his arms. "Because from where I'm standing, you're using your job as an excuse to avoid being present in this relationship." Zara's defenses slammed up. "Don't psychoanalyze me. You're not my therapist." "No, I'm the person who loves you." Dante's voice rose. "And I'm watching you disappear back into that fortress you lived in. The one that kept you safe and miserable." "Maybe I was better off miserable," Zara shouted. The words hung in the air, brutal and honest. "Maybe this us was a mistake. Maybe I'm not built for this level of vulnerability." "It hurts, Dante. Caring this much hurts." "I know it hurts," Dante said, voice dropping to something raw. "Love is supposed to hurt sometimes, but it's also supposed to heal. You're choosing the hurt of isolation over the hurt of growth." "I didn't ask for your amateur psychology," Zara spat, vicious in her fear. Dante stared at her, something breaking behind his eyes. "You're right. You didn't ask for any of this. So I'll make it easy." He grabbed his jacket. "When you decide whether you want to be brave or safe, let me know. I'll be here. But I won't watch you sabotage us because you're scared." He left. Zara stood alone in his studio, surrounded by evidence of his vulnerability. Every drawing, every tattoo design, every piece of himself he'd shared freely. And she realized what she'd done. She'd pushed away the one person who'd never asked her to be anything but real. Zara spent 3 days in her old patterns, working 14-hour days, eating takeout over the sink, sleeping 4 hours a night. It should have felt familiar, safe. Instead, it felt like dying slowly. On day 4, she had a session with a new client, a woman who just ended a relationship because it was getting too serious. The woman sat in Zara's office, reciting the same defenses Zara herself had used. "I'm better alone. Relationships are too complicated. I don't need anyone." Zara watched this woman build walls in real time and saw herself with devastating clarity. This was what she'd been doing to Dante. This was what she'd been doing to herself for years. "Can I ask you something?" Zara said, breaking protocol. "Are you ending it because it was wrong? Or because it was right and that terrifies you?" The woman blinked. "What? Real connection is terrifying," Zara continued, speaking to herself as much as her client. "It requires us to be vulnerable, to risk rejection, to show parts of ourselves we've learned to hide. So we sabotage. We push away. We choose loneliness over the possibility of being hurt. But here's what I'm learning." She paused, tears forming. "The hurt of isolation is worse. The hurt of never trying, never opening up, never letting someone truly see you. That's the kind of pain that never heals. At least heartbreak means you were brave enough to love." The client stared. Are you okay?" Zara laughed through tears. "No, but I'm going to be." She stood. "I need to cancel the rest of today's sessions. I need to go fix the biggest mistake of my life." That night, Zara did something she'd never done. She called her mother and cried. She called her best friend and admitted she'd been wrong about everything. She sat with her fear and didn't run from it. And then she drove to Dante's studio. Dante was closing up when Zara arrived. Drenched from rain, she'd been too focused to notice. He saw her through the window and froze. She knocked. He opened the door slowly, guard up, heart visible in his eyes. "Zara, I'm terrified," she interrupted, words tumbling out. "I'm terrified of losing myself in you, terrified of needing you, terrified that if I let you all the way in, you'll see something that makes you leave. Because everyone leaves eventually, right? My father left through alcohol. My ex left because I wasn't enough. People always leave. Zara, but I'm more terrified of this," she continued, crying openly now. of pushing away the first person who's ever made me feel truly alive. You were right. I was sabotaging us. I was choosing safety over love. And I can't do it anymore. She stepped closer, rain streaming down her face. I don't know how to do this perfectly. I'm going to be messy and scared and probably push you away again when things get hard. But I want to try. I want to be brave enough to let you see me. All of me. The broken parts, the beautiful parts. Everything. Dante's jaw tightened with emotion. You hurt me. I know, Zara whispered. I'm so sorry. And you'll probably hurt me again. Because that's what happens when you love someone. You're vulnerable to their pain and their fear. I know, she repeated, voice breaking. But here's the thing. Dante pulled her inside, out of the rain. I'd rather hurt with you than be safe without you. That's what love is. Choosing someone even when it's scary. Even when they're scared. Even when it's messy and imperfect. He cupped her face. I love you, Zara. The therapist who has all the answers. The woman who falls apart on sidewalks. The scared girl who pushes people away. All of you. Zara sobbed against his chest. I love you too. God. I love you so much it terrifies me. Good, Dante said, holding her tight. That's how you know it's real. A year later, Zara's apartment looked different. It was messier, more lived in. Dante's sketches covered the walls alongside her diplomas. Plants were dying and thriving simultaneously. It was imperfect and alive. Zara had learned to hold both truths. She could be a competent therapist and a vulnerable human. She could have bad days and ask for help. She could cry when she needed to and lean on Dante without losing herself. And Dante learned too. He learned that his strength wasn't just in being the steady one, but in showing his own fears. He learned that love wasn't about fixing someone. It was about seeing them completely and choosing them anyway. They still fought. Zara still occasionally retreated into her head. Dante sometimes pushed when she needed space. But they'd learned to communicate through the mess, to stay when things got hard, to choose vulnerability over self-protection. On their anniversary, Dante gave her a gift, a tattoo design. It was a fortress with the walls crumbling, flowers growing through the cracks. For your first tattoo, he said. If you want it. Zara studied the design, tears forming. It's perfect. But I have one request. Add something. She sketched quickly, adding a figure standing on top of the broken walls, arms open, face toward the sun. This, the woman who was brave enough to let the walls fall. Dante tattooed it on her ribs, right over her heart. It hurt beautifully, the good kind of pain, the kind that meant transformation. She held his hand through every needle prick, and when it was done, she looked at the mirror. There she was, permanently marked with her journey, vulnerable and strong, broken open and healed, seen completely and loved anyway. Thank you, she whispered, pulling Dante close, for staying that first night on the sidewalk, for seeing me when I couldn't see myself, for teaching me that vulnerability isn't weakness. Dante kissed her forehead. Thank you for being brave enough to let me in, for showing me that armor isn't the same as strength, for proving that the deepest love comes from being completely, terrifyingly real. They stood in his studio, surrounded by art and evidence of their messy, beautiful love. And Zara finally understood. She hadn't lost herself in loving Dante. She'd found herself, the real version, the one who could feel everything and survive it, the one who could be vulnerable and powerful simultaneously. That night, as they fell asleep tangled together, Zara whispered, I'm still scared sometimes. Good, Dante murmured against her hair. Me too. That's how we know we're doing it right. And for the first time in her life, Zara believed that being seen, truly, completely, vulnerably seen, wasn't the thing to fear. It was the only thing worth having. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe to Inchua Love Stories for more emotionally raw love stories about vulnerability, human connection, and the courage it takes to be truly seen. Tell me in the comments, what walls do you need to let fall? When was the last time you were truly vulnerable with someone? Let's talk about it. Feel the emotion. Live the story. See you in the next one.